We are up to the final game week before the international break. So here are my game week 5 score predictions for the 2023/24 EFL Championship season. We start off at St Andrews, where Birmingham City are taking on Millwall. Of course, this game is kicking off at 12:30. We've got 3 fixtures kicking off at 12:30. Of course, all 12 games are being played on the Saturday. But Birmingham City, last time out, they picked up a 2-1 victory against Plymouth Argyle. Birmingham City, they've had a really good start to their season. 3 wins and 1 draw in their first 4 games, which compared to what they usually do, it's a massive improvement. Of course, still early days, but they've had a really good start. Their opponents, Millwall, picked up a 1-0 victory against Stoke City, where you don't really know what you're going to get with Stoke City. One day they could be scoring a ton of goals. On another day, they'll fail to score any. But I do fancy both of these sides to pick up, to both score a goal and also to pick up a point each. I'm going to go for a score draw in this one, a 1-1 draw. We move on now to Swansea City, taking on Bristol City. The Swans still yet to pick up their first win of the season. In their last game, they did lose to Preston North End 2-1. Bristol City, they did pick up a 1-1 draw against Hull City in their last game. I'm going to go for another draw in this game. Once again, I think both sides will score, but both sides will have to settle for a point each. I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw here. And then we move on to the Coventry Building Society, where Coventry City take on Watford. Coventry City, they'll be looking to get back in the playoffs following their 5th place finish last season. They've looked pretty good so far. I mean, they did lose on opening day 2-1 against Leicester City, but that was probably expected. They then absolutely demolished Middlesbrough 3-0, but considering Middlesbrough's form at the moment, it seems like any team could do that at the moment. And then they picked up 2 draws recently, a 1-1 draw against Swansea, and then the most recent, a 0-0 draw against Sunderland. I'm not that convinced with Coventry at the moment. Their opponents, Watford, haven't had the greatest of starts either. They've had a pretty poor run of games so far. I mean, last time out, a 1-0 defeat against Blackburn Rovers. Prior to that, a 1-0 defeat against Stoke. Picked up a 0-0 draw against Plymouth Argyle there as well. It's not the starts, really, both of these sides would have been expecting. I'm going to go for another draw in this one 3 times in a row. And I'm going to go for another 1-1 draw in this one. At the moment, it's just pretty tough to pick a winner. But we move on to Portman Road, where Ipswich Town are taking on Cardiff City. Ipswich Town, they've picked up their first defeat of the season. It came in that absolute thriller 4-3 defeat against Leeds United. Their opponents, Cardiff City, picked up their first win of the season, a 2-1 victory. I fancy Ipswich Town to get back to winning ways in this one, though. It'll be a close one, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win for the Tractor Boys in this one. And then we move on to Ellen Road, where Leeds United, who finally picked up their first win of the season, also, as I mentioned, just above 4-3 win against Ipswich Town, taking on a Sheffield Wednesday side who are still rock bottom of the table, still yet to pick up their first point of the season. Pretty tough game for Sheffield Wednesday, this. Leeds United, they look really good in their last game, and it looks like this could be the start of their season. I am going to go for a Leeds United win in this one, although I don't think it will be that comfortable. I'm just going to go for the narrow 1-0 win for the home side in this one. And then we move on now to the King Power Stadium, where Leicester City are taking on Hull City. And, well, if both teams continue with the form that they have been in, this should be a really good game. Leicester City, 4 out of 4, top of the table, the only team up there with 12 points. Although, that being said, they have left it late in quite a few of their games so far. And also, there's been some very narrow scorelines. In their last game, a 2-1 victory against Rotherham United. They have had a 2-1 victory against Cardiff. Narrow 1-0 victory against Huddersfield Town. Facing a Hull City side who did pick up only a point in their last game. A 1-1 draw against Bristol City. But I think that we're going to be in for a high goal game in this one. I am going to go for a 3-2 home win for Leicester City. It's going to be another close game, but I do think Leicester will just scrape by to make it 5 out of 5. We move on now to the Riverside Stadium, where Middlesbrough are taking on Queen's Park Rangers. Middlesbrough still yet to pick up their first win of the season. They have been struggling. They did look, better in their last game against West Bromwich Albion, although they did lose that one 4-2. Queen's Park Rangers narrowly losing 2-1 against Southampton in their last game. This is going to be a tricky one because these are two sides that are currently struggling at the moment. Middlesbrough, the team struggling this season. Queen's Park Rangers, they were the team that struggled last season. I wouldn't be surprised if Queen's Park Rangers came away with all 3 points in this one, to be honest. I feel like they have improved since last season, but I am just going to go for a draw in this one. And I'm going to go for a 2-2. We move on now to Home Park, where Plymouth Argyle are facing Blackburn Rovers. Plymouth Argyle, they had a good start to their season. They have since picked up two 2-1 defeats. They came against Southampton and their most recent one against Birmingham. Blackburn Rovers picked up a 1-0 victory against Watford in their last game. It's going to be another one of those games that's going to be really tight, and I'm going to go for another draw in this one. I fancy both sides to score. I'm going to go for another 1-1 in this one. We move on to New York Stadium, where Rotherham United are taking on Norwich City, and this one definitely should not end in a draw. Norwich City scoring 4 in their last game, a 4-0 victory against Huddersfield Town. Rotherham United, a 2-1 defeat against Leicester City in their last game. Rotherham still yet to pick up their first win of the season, although they have been pretty close games. I mean, ignoring the opening day game where they lost 4-1 against Stoke, but they have scored in every one of their games so far this season. I don't think that is going to continue for this game, though, and I am going to go for a nice, comfortable 3-0 away win for the Canaries. And we move on now, where Stoke City are facing Preston North End, or we could call it Preston versus Preston, of course. Stoke City, with Alex Neil, the ex-Preston boss, have brought in Paul Gallagher, the ex-Preston player and coach, and also signed Ben Pearson and Daniel Johnson, who are, of course, ex-Preston North End players as well. 50-50 start to their season so far. 2 wins, 2 defeats. It was a 1-0 defeat against Millwall in their last game. Of course, their other defeat was a 2-0 loss against Ipswich Town. Coming up against Preston North End, who have had a really good start to their season. It's our best start to a season since 2008, which just so happened to be a promotion-winning year. Maybe this could be our time. It's not what we're used to at the moment, especially with the teams that are in the Championship. A very tough Championship this year. But yeah, 2-1 victory against Swansea City in our last game, and I think we can keep this unbeaten run going. I'm hoping that Stoke City are going to have one of those off days where they don't go on a rampage and score loads of goals. I'm going to go for a draw in this one again. A goalless draw in this one, 0-0. And we move on to our final 2 games of the game week. Off to the Stadium of Light, where Sunderland are taking on Southampton. Southampton doing really well at the moment. It was expected. 3 wins and a draw out of their first 4 games, although they are pretty close. It was a 2-1 win against Queen's Park Rangers in their last game, and also another narrow 2-1 win against Plymouth Argyle. Sunderland didn't have the greatest of starts to the season, but I do think they're slowly coming back into it. They did pick up a 2-1 victory against Rotherham United, and then also in their last game, a 0-0 against Coventry. I'm going to back both sides to score, but I do think Southampton will come away with all 3 points. I'm going to go for a 3-1 this time, so a bit more comfortable compared to the other Southampton games. But 3 points for the Saints in this one. And then we finish off at the Hawthorns, where West Bromwich Albion take on Huddersfield Town. West Brom scoring 4 in their last game. It was against Middlesbrough, who are struggling, but still a very good victory nonetheless. A 4-2 win in that game. Their opponents, Huddersfield Town, still yet to pick up their first win of the season. How long is Neil Warnock going to last? I mean, he was their saviour last season, but I feel like something's got to change for Huddersfield because it's not looking good for them. I am going to back the Baggies to pick up all 3 points in this one. I'm going to go for a 2-0 home win. And that wraps up my Game Week 5 score predictions. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I will see you all in my next video.